Cheetah Generation Radio Talk Show. I am your usual co-host, Bubakar Bande, the program manager, YCP.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balde. And on my far left, face to face with me is a gentleman here. I would like him to introduce himself to our audience. Yes.
Thanks so much, Sherifu. I'm Andy Uchig. I'm the consul at the US Embassy here in the Gambia, and it's my pleasure to be with you today. Thanks a lot for having me on the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andy. It's a pleasure having you on the show. As I promised you last week, we would like to have Mr. Andy on the show because this month our theme of discussion is migration and the diaspora. And obviously we started last week with Sibana Youth Association, who were discussing with us about urbanization. And then this week, Sunday, we would like to discuss more about migration, specifically to center it on US and the wider world. Mr. Balde, I would like to at least have something from you. If you know something about migration and diaspora, what is your understanding on that?
Okay, thank you very much, Rifo. I think migration and the diaspora might not be a new words, might not be new words to the public. Hence, each and everybody here, most of it has migrated from one place or the other in one cause or the other. So, sorry. In that aspect, migration simply is the movement of people from one place to another due to some causes. Either you can have internal displaced people due to war, due to in search of greener pasture and stuff like that. And also when you come to the diaspora, because the diaspora and migration, they are two similar things, but they differ. I believe Andy will buttress more on this as he is the consular at the American Embassy. And the diaspora is a movement or scattering of people away from an established homeland or something like that. And it can be by whatever cause, so no one knows what will cause. It's only determined by the evidence shown by those immigrants or people who move from one place to the other.
Yeah, thank you very much for that simple, go through. I have one thing here, which is a small piece of note, which was, piled up from one Greek man, which says diaspora, is the movement, migration, or scattering of people away from an established homeland. People diaspora by whatever cause to more than one location, or people settle far from their essential homeland. Mr. Andy, what did you understand about this thing?
Well, I thank you again for having me on today, and I think particularly as an American, I'm proud to be on today to talk about the United States and migration and diaspora, because of course we are a nation that's almost completely built of immigrants. The Native American population we do have, but well over 90% came from somewhere else. My family came to the United States about 150 years ago. My father's family came from Germany. My mother's family came from Norway. And there was a large wave at that time of Northern Europeans. 50 years after that, we had large waves of Eastern and Southern Europeans. At the same time, on our West Coast, we had tens of thousands of Chinese and other Asians coming in. And, of course, we had Africans coming in unwillingly in the 1800s, but they're now an important part of our society as well, and the ethnic makeup that we have. And over the last 50 years, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people from Latin America in particular. And so that's what the United States is today. We are a nation of immigrants, and I think it's one of our great strengths.
Wow, that's good. I'm having one statistics here. Inflow of new legal permanent residents, top 5 standing countries, 2010. Which says Mexico, in 2010 was having like 139,120, and also Africa, I'm seeing here Africa was having like 101,351. Totally, all immigrants worldwide in America was totaling to 1,042,625.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I think, there's a degree of partnership there. You mentioned Mexico, and of course, they come to the United States usually for higher wages is one thing they'll come for, to work for. And also we have traditionally, now Mexicans are doing a lot of jobs that people in the United States are less willing to do. So we need them to fill our economic system in some ways, but also it leads to challenges, where you may have people coming in illegally or not getting enough access to health systems, and there is some competition for jobs. So migration, it's a good example of how migration both leads to great benefits, but also it's something that has to be managed.
Do you think you having many people coming to America is helpful to American citizens at the country at large?
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of my life in Japan, which is a wonderful place, but there are 95% of the population is one ethnic group. And I love Japan, but whenever I go back to the United States, it's wonderful to be back in a country that is made up of more diversity, where there's more coming in. I think the United States is famous for its creativity, entrepreneurship, and I think a lot of that comes from the vibrancy of having different cultural traditions, different ethnicities, people with different backgrounds. When I'm away, I miss that. And when I get back, I'm so happy to be a part of it. This year, for the first time ever, white men are a minority in the Congress in the United States.
Wow, that's a plus.
Yeah, they're still the biggest group. It's the biggest single group, but all the other groups put together now outnumber them. And that's just a very telling signal about how change is constantly occurring and how, you can't stay the same. You have to move forward and really benefit from your diversity. So, yeah, I see it as a huge advantage to the United States, and we'll continue to value that, I think.
Thank you very much. Mr. Balde, I think you have something you want to share with Mr. Andy?
In just what he has said before, I've just got some things there. He said, first, his parents came to America 150 years ago, and now he is hereby a U.S. citizen. And I don't know how does it differ with those people who were there before, and himself, who has been now a citizen of U.S., but parents have been there for 100 years ago. And is there any difference of this thing? And also, these immigrants who move, we have seen 1 million people in 2010. What is the scope of, as you said, there is sometimes a degree of partnership. And then how would you associate this with specifically Africa, where we are today? And Gambia is one of them. How would you associate this with the degree of partnership in immigrants from specifically Africa?
Sure.
Mexico, yeah.
That's an excellent question. I think you've got two questions there. The first part I'll address is you talked about how do really it's a question of how do the previous immigrants think about the next wave of immigrants? Yeah. And I think it's human nature. There's often some resistance. Once you get established, you think, okay, I don't know about this other group that's coming in. And as a consequence, the Congress, which is democratically elected, has created a series of laws to manage that. Particularly during the early 1900s, it was felt that there was too much uncontrolled immigration. So, we put in measures to modify that. But nowadays, in recent decades, there was a feeling that there wasn't enough diversity coming in. So, for example, the Congress created the Diversity Immigrant Visa Lottery, which a lot of Gambians take advantage of and you may have heard of. This is designed so that even if you don't have a sponsor in the United States, if you are someone who is ambitious and educated and wants to move to the United States, you can put your name into the Diversity Visa Lottery to have a chance to move to the United States so that we continue to have that diversity coming in. And the Gambia is one of the countries that's eligible for the Diversity Lottery. And I was going to bring this up later, but I guess I'll start with this. The Gambia has actually been extremely successful in sending students to the United States.
Exactly.
Just 2 weeks ago, a study came out that looked at the number of students per capita in the United States. So if you're a small country, you'll have a fewer total number, but we looked at the per capita number based on your population. Guess what Gambia is in Africa? It's third.
Wow.
It's amazing. Of all the countries in sub-Saharan Africa, the Gambia has the third most students per capita studying in the United States. It's very impressive for a couple of reasons. The only two nations ahead of it are Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. Those are of course, oil-rich economies that are booming. Yeah. They have per capita incomes that are 7 times higher in the case of Gabon, 17 times higher in the case of Equatorial Guinea, but the Gambia is still competing with them. So what I see going on here is a couple things. You've got, I think education is valued by Gambians. And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of Gambians who do go to the United States end up becoming professors or teachers if they stay. Okay. So that also brings up a problem of brain drain.
Yeah.
But certainly Gambians have been successful in value education. And the Gambia is ahead of a lot of economies that have a higher per capita income. Places like Angola, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa. All of those countries have a per capita income twice as high as the Gambia. But Gambia has per capita students twice as high, twice as many in the United States as those countries.
In this sense, you are saying that Gambian people like education more than those rich sub-Saharan African.
I don't want to say that you like it more, because I'm sure they value it as well.
The valueness of education in Gambia is powerful than any other sub-Saharan country.
Absolutely, and
compared to our economic, resource.
Yes, exactly. The number of students studying in the United States far outstrips what you would expect based on the per capita income.
And I think I will link this with where he said the degree of partnership also, because if you look at what he said, that most of these Gambians who go to study in the United States end up being lecturers and professors in the universities
in America.
Yeah. So this is also another like I can see it as a degree of partnership between individuals, I can say, towards their approach to United States after completing their studies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's an important point to know, than only regarding the economic status of the country.
If you look around the Gambia, a lot of your ministers, a lot of the people higher up in the government, a lot of your successful business people, a lot of them studied in the United States.
That's right.
So it is a partnership. Those people who go to the United States, get ideas and education there, bring them back and have success here. That helps the Gambia. And also it helps us. We've got the Gambia and the United States share a lot of values because of this tendency of a lot of Gambians to go study in the United States. And all those Gambians who stay in the United States and bring their talents and their learning and their background experience to our universities and colleges and our business environment.
So meaning like Gambians in the diaspora, we are talking about migration and diaspora, who migrated from Gambia to United States, have a big impact on the educational aspect of United States.
Of course,
I think that's a bottom line.
Stanley, the other issue that I would like to ask, the social life aspect of people that move from different places.
Yeah.
Like me moving here, going to US, how am I going to be, impacting in other people's life in America socially? Because we have different social belief, different religious belief.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've highlighted that the positive aspect, and there are a lot of positives. But there's another negative aspect, and that's that some people who go to study in the United States don't continue their studies, and they may end up in trouble. And it's not as easy as you think in the United States. We do have a strong economy, but right now 1 in 10 people are unemployed. They have no job. We have about 10% unemployment in the United States. People who go to the United States do sometimes end up without a job. And I was talking to someone recently. He was telling me a story. And when he was in his early 20s, he tried to get a visa to go to the United States. And he had no plan on actually studying. He was going to go and get a job. So he was trying to... He was really mad about that. Well, he's stayed in the Gambia, and he's become pretty successful. He worked in his field. He made a lot of contacts, and now he's respected here, and he's a successful young man. And now he got a visa. In fact, we sent him to the United States on an International Visitors Leadership Program.
Yes.
And to the United States, he thought, thank goodness I didn't go there when I was 20. And get a job in a gas station. Thank goodness I stayed in the Gambia, set myself up here, and now I can go back as a leader and come back to my successful situation in the Gambia. And while he was in the United States, he said he met with some of his friends who did get those visas in their early 20s, went to the United States, and were working. And he said a lot of them were in a tough situation. Things there, the wages are higher, but things are more expensive as well. So a lot of those folks are really struggling, and they were illegal. So he just had that moment of realization of, thank goodness I set myself up for success by going when the time was right for me, rather than going when I wasn't ready.
And he was wise enough to at least be in the country and then try to work on his capacity. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to throw some questions on
Sure.
on the Andy. I learned something in the US website that is a visa waiver program, and regarding to all the visa issues, and many people will always want to know. Sometimes some are rejected, like the one you have just said. They
Sure.
get pissed off, but some of them never know what are the reasons, and are exactly people aware of the reasons why they are rejected, or what kind of things does it involve for the visa application?
Yeah,
after that?
sorry. I think with regards to visa issues, we'll leave it until the second part of the show. For the first the part of the show, we'll talk on migration diaspora and then try to at least brainstorm, try to share what we know and what Andy brings here, so that we can share with people. Then on the later part of the show, we'll talk more about the visa issues. I know people will be very interested to know what does it takes to get one and
Sure.
what does it takes not to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other issue is like migration and diaspora is very wide and broad, especially when you are referring to US,
Yes.
which is a superpower in the world. We discussed about social aspect, and you also buttress on economic aspect and also education. Now we would like us to talk about the environmental issues based on migration and diaspora. How does it affect one's environment when you move from one place to another, especially when you have chunk of people moving from one place heading towards America? What impact does it have in American environment?
Well, it depends on what you mean by environment. If we're talking about things like global warming, I'm not the right person to speak about that. But if you're talking about things like the social environment, again, I would say it's a good thing. I grew up in Wisconsin, which is racially not very diverse, and I think that was a disadvantage for me. And it was only later when I got out and went to places like North Carolina, where there's a large Gambian community, or spent time in New York, where white faces are definitely in the minority, that I really understood what America is and where a lot of our strengths come from. And I do remember, though, in grade school, we had a girl come in from Laos, which is a small country in Asia, and she was a refugee. And she came into our classroom, and it was very new for us. And she would bring Laotian food to the classroom. We were invited to a party at her house. And we got a little bit of exposure to something completely different. And I think that is so valuable. I'm not going to pick on the Canadians because Canada is also very diverse, but I do want to tell you a story. I got back from Japan and I went on vacation. I drove up the eastern coast of Canada. A lot of Caucasians. And I remember being in a gas station drinking a can of pineapple soda, which is something that, it's kind of a Caucasian kind of thing. And I thought, I want to get back to the United States. Let me get back to the United States where I can have Laotian food, where I can walk into an Eritrean restaurant in Washington, where the people I'm talking to have a lot of diversity. So on the social aspect, I think diaspora and migration is fantastic in most ways, really. That's the fabric of the United States. Does it bring some suffering? Sure it does. But you've also got countries that I think have built a lot of their legacy on diaspora. I think in particular, you're very familiar with the Lebanese here in the Gambia. All over the world, you will find Lebanese shopkeepers and business people. I don't know. I haven't been to Lebanon. I don't know why they're so successful with that. That's a part of their culture, and it strengthens the nation. Chinese, everywhere around the world where you go, there will be Chinese restaurants, Chinese groceries. They're out there making business, making contacts. And that's very important. So I do think also Gambians being in Spain, UK, United States, it's very important for the nation's development, and it's important to have migration. You don't have diaspora, then you get discrimination. And I'm probably talking too much. I have to give you guys a chance, but let me tell you one more story. So I was teaching elementary. I used to be a teacher. I was teaching elementary school in Japan. All the kids are Japanese, like 30 kids, 30 Japanese kids, no foreigners. And those kids in the class I was teaching, they didn't like Koreans, and they would say that. Korea is their neighbor. That's one of the countries closest to them, but they didn't like Koreans. Why? Are the Japanese naturally racist? No, absolutely not. I think it was a lack of exposure. They just didn't know. They just only knew themselves. So until you've met other folks and gotten used to them, that can lead to insular ways of thinking, and it's important for your psychological environment to have other kinds of folks around.
This tells me that you are very diverse. You move from one place to another. Wow, Japan to this place, other places. You know a lot, and you know different cultures, different people, diverse people.
Well, it's the nature of my work. I've been fortunate enough to move around a lot, but I do think it's developed me as a person. Coming out of Wisconsin as an 18-year-old, I didn't know what the world was all about, and I'm really grateful to get the chance to know about it.
That's good.
So it means this have taught you some different social aspects, some different cultures, and I also believe that these migrants who move from here to United States take along some of their cultures, because as sometimes you can see these African artists go and perform in the
people
North
like
Carolina,
in
North Carolina. So this means also United States have an impact on the cultural development of the U.S. or
absolutely yes. You know, it's in 1,000 tiny ways. It's those citizen-to-citizen contacts. Yeah. I think that's where it really makes a difference. Of course, business is important for national development, but I think for the development of a nation's character, citizen-to-citizen contact, that stuff is really important. And I'll just give you a small example. In Wisconsin, when I meet you, I'm just going to say, "Hey, how are you?" And you'll say, "Good, how are you?" And then we'll start right in on our business. Here in the Gambia, I'm going to say, "Business. Oh, it's good. How's your morning?" You go through the greeting. It's so much nicer in some ways. And so I learned from places like the Gambia that with some people, it's really good to lay the groundwork first, have a little greeting, be a little pleasant. Instead of just going right to the business, you can build a relationship by doing the greeting. That's a simple example. But when you know things like that, and you've been exposed to things like that, I think it makes you better at your business, better at your personal relationships. It's capacity building within your own personality.
We know America is very powerful here, but they also face the issue of illegal migration.
Yes.
How effective or how it is impacting in the social life of people or the economy of America?
Well, it's a really the reality is we have a lot of illegal immigrants living in the United States. You've got sort of two basic sides to this argument. A lot of people are saying, look, they came illegally, they broke the law, and they should be sent back you got to follow the law. And a lot of other people are saying, well, they're here now, they're working for us. Let's get them into the healthcare system. Let's get their children into the educational system. Let's bring them in to the system so that we can manage this situation better. So it's very controversial. And I can see both sides of that issue. I work in visa law. Does it bother me when people break the law? Yes, it does. The law is the law, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, is it okay to me that a lot of illegal immigrants in the United States...
Mr. Andy,
yes.
I'm afraid we'll go for break. Then when we come back, we will discuss more about visa process here. And we will go with the break. Then we are back.
Listen.
You want to be educative about youth affairs, current and past? Tune into Star FM. Radio Talk Show with your host Sirifo Jaju, the president and co-founder of Youth Consulting for Progress, every Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Be there.
Xale bu nekk soxla na lii di mbëggeel ak cofeer li gën a gaawal lii di ab màggaayam waa Baby Center nekk fi rek pour seeni xale yi waa Baby Center amal na leen lii di Rosy diapers di ay pampers lekki xale si façon bi nag ba tey amal na leen fa lii di baby oil amal na leen fa powder baby shoe di ay daali xale ak lii di yére xale amal na leen fa lépp lu aju si wàllum Johnson product di product yoo xam ne baax na te wóor na ba tey waa Baby Center ñu ne amal na leen lii di wholesale ak lii di retail kon nag ku bëgg a jokkoo ak waa Baby Center mën ngaa dem rek foofu sa Baltes jàkkaarloo New Johnson ak Kanifing Estate Garage bi wala nga oo leen si numéro yi 950 44 29 950 44 29 750 44 29 750 44 29 wala si 777 50 57 777 50 57
QCell, expand your world. Suma fat
dafa gaaw yomb te neex lool sax tamane moo gën a neex sax ni ñu tàmmoon di diggalee crédit muy yoon wu bees ni nga mën a jëlee crédit ci QCell fat
te it bu yoon bu gaaw pour dugal crédit sa mobile phone
léegi mën ngaa jënd crédit ci lu tollook $5 ñaxtu amatu fi te ñàkkum crédit ci sa mobile phone jeex na ndax sa tontu mooy lii fat
sa tontu teew na jëndal crédit te doo si am coono
ku ci bëgg xam lu gën a leer mën ngaa woote ci 111 leneen luy waxalaat ñu ne suñu boss.
QCell, the cheapest GSM network in the Gambia.
Expand your world.
FIG bureau de sens FIG bureau de sens taamu nañ di jaral suñu liggéey ci ay anam yu wóor te gaaw mun ngeen ñëw seet si nag ci suñu bànqaas bu mag ba ci number 50 Keraba Avenue wala ngeen oote ci numbers 4399144 wala 4378489 amal nañ leen ay bànqaas yu bëri ci Greater Banjul area bi ak itamit ci réew mi yépp Tabokoto London Corner Cow Junction Bakote Brikama Njambaay Brikama Hawlakunda Bansang Bara Soma Farafeñe Basse Highway Basse Santusu ak Fototo yi rek doonul suñu banqaas yépp ñeneen fukk lañ ak benn ca FIG amal nañ leen juróom-ñaari yoon nga xam ne di ngeen ci mën a yónni ak it jëli seen xaalis mu doon MoneyGram Money Express Connection Express Lee Direct Western Union Ria ak Wari bu leen koy yónni wala jëli ko rek waaye FIG leen ko ndaxte taamu nañ di teg suñu liggéey ci ay anam yu wóor te gaaw.
Thinking of quality outfits that are unique, quality designers, and suits your taste? H&N Fashion Shop opposite the American Embassy is the right place to be because we've got new arrivals from the US and Italy. We've got latest shirts, both long sleeves and short sleeves, jeans, suits, Italian designs, full shoes, belts, designer watches, sport shoes, leather sandals, polo shirts, neckties, Converse, leather slippers, and a lot more all the way from the US and Italy. Contact us on 990-6456 or 7070-300. H&N Fashion Shop, the home of quality.
Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé mu nga jóge ko ca réewi Mali dëkk fii ci réew mi ca Bakote Tipa Garage jàkkaarloog ak garage yi Gunjur ñëw nag pour jàppale wante ak askan wi képp koo xam ne am na feebari bët yi xeeti feebar bu mun ci doon muy xesen muy xonxa su naaj bi tàngee wala bépp xeeti feebari bët wala paayil alsa indigestion kuli soccet kuy am jafe-jafe ci sëy diabetes asma ku seytaane jàppa jigéen ju munta am doom yaram buy tànga wala yaram buy xesen high blood wala xale buy sawlal wala sax mag feebar lay doon Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé mu ngi jàppalante ak askan wi fële ca Bakote Tipa Garage jàkkaarloog ak garage yi Gunjur wala ngeen call ko ci 760-3355 760-3355
Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé jaral la bala mu nyinti me yalan ko abotanam fo Mali banko kan sayin afelale Gambia banko kan jang abe sabate ring Bakote Tipa Garage anin Gunjur garage so nyaabe tilindi nyora Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé ka kuran sifa jamale jara aka nyaadi mo sifa fanam bele jara fenya ka wulela bang fonda ka jolo bondi nintilo kandita fake nga nyaale bang warang fay katarak le soto konoto Abdou Nasir ka nyim be jara nole bari Abdou Nasir manda wodamala aka kuran kotangolu jarale mele boko pain ulcer diabetes asthma high blood indigestion mon men yalon ko setano le ke boy dinnol men yalon ko kesu muna laranka wanan tumando fan hani kebalu Abdou Nasir ka nyimbele jara aka kulu fetongo jara aka seketo jara ani musol men yalon ko dinko koleyate ba waran ni ba kuro jele aka ke koleya kwoti ake ko nodimi futa Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé ma abe Bakote ko nga faale nyamin Tipa Garage ani Gunjur garage so nyaabe tilindi nyora ni bitaje alafta kele koleya kwoti waran ilafta lon nakala ko landi nyamin ila telefono sikabang ya ka chanyoya 760-3355 760-3355 Abdou Nasir Almami Sidibé alfuta ma Bakote Tipa Garage ala daman koleya fereng anatale pour ka do bal makoy jaralo la karola
Iura nafa Alungesan ila koralu dadiya Asisan Alungesan ila koralu dadiya Asisan Alungesan Smart spaces lenata Smart spaces ila kordalu nyata Smart spaces nila aftalua sola Smart spaces ila kordalu dadiata Smart spaces ika kene kansangulu wafile Alungesan ila kordalu dadiata Smart spaces
You're tuned to Star on 96.7.
Every Sunday from 12 p.m. till 1 p.m. we there.
It's just praise all the time.
So Jah give us more message and blessing.
You want to be educative about youth affairs, current and past? Tune into Star FM 96.6 FM and be with the Cheetah Generation Radio Talk show with your host Sirifo Jaju, the president and co-founder of Youth Consortium for Progress. Every Sunday from 12 p.m. till 1 p.m. we there. Good afternoon, beautiful listeners. We are back once again, the same place, the same frequency, Star FM 96.6 FM, and also you can have us on tune in online if you want to listen live wherever you are in this world. As promised, the second part of the show we will discuss specifically about US visa. What does it take if you want to have a US visa? Why are you rejected? Why did you have? Why you don't have? People who want to call, and you can call us or you can send text on 9000966, 9000966, 66389666, 66389666, 7886966, 7886966. Mr. Andy is here and he's willing and ready to answer all the necessary questions that you are willing to pose at him. Before going forward, I have one question here. A guy sent it to me via Facebook. He said, okay, ask him the reason why if they reject an applicant, they don't refund him or her money back, even half of it.
That's an excellent question. And the reason is that's the law. Congress decided a number of years ago that we were required to get the money for providing visas back from the visa fees. In other words, to provide services here in the Gambia and in Dakar and in Casablanca and in Bamako and foreposts in Germany. It costs a lot of money to have the facilities to do that. And we're required by law to get that money back through the visa fees. It's an application fee, so it's non-refundable. Whether you're issued or whether you're not qualified, the money is not refundable. So it is that's the law. And we do review it once every year or two. The State Department looks at this and says, is the money that we are getting from the fees sufficient to cover the costs? And then it'll go either up or down. It sometimes does go down. Last year, some immigrant visa fees went down. But another thing I would say, and this is an important point, we've talked about the positives of immigration, but there are also a lot of people who want to go and work in the United States. And you need to be able to qualify. The reality is, if you can't afford the application fee, you probably shouldn't be applying. Okay? If you can't afford the application fee, that probably means you don't have enough financial ties to qualify for a visa. That's a reality.
Okay, this other guy said, tell him why they had to reject people when they are having a good papers while their plan is to visit their own children.
This is a very good question too, and a lot of people think it's all in the documents. If I bring the right documents, I'll get the visa. Cases holistically. We're going to look at your whole case. Do we look at the documents? Yes, but we also look at the application form, and the interview is extremely important. A person's social situation, financial situation is important, and the folks in the United States, the visa records of those people can affect an application. And so you have to qualify for a visa based on the law. You have to have sufficient financial and social ties, intent to come back. And if we don't see that in a holistic look at the case, then the applicant doesn't qualify.
Okay, this other person also said, like, people think that the money that you receive from applicants is what you accumulate and give back to people as grant. Is that right?
No. Do you mean in the applicant? I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
He said the money that you received from applicants, like people applying for visa, the needy people or the poor, as grant.
No. The worldwide, the State Department is collecting visa fees from the Gambia to China, everywhere around the world.
Okay.
All that money is collected by Consular Affairs in Washington, D.C., and then they use that to fund Consular Affairs operations worldwide. So grant money and things like that, those are separate streams of money. And really, consular fees are used to support consular operations.
Okay, this one says, hey, I'm enjoying your program. Okay, do Maribor have any influence in getting a visa? And do you have any contact with the dealers who will charge you to get a visa for you? The person is trying to say, like, do you, Mr. Andy, have any contact with the visa dealers who ask ransom sum of money? Do you have any contact with them?
You know, we do get occasionally people who try to break the law.
Yeah.
And we pursue that very carefully and immediately. And also, I wanted to tell the listeners, if someone is telling you that they can get a visa for you for money, it's not true. The only person who can approve a visa is the consular officer, me or one of my colleagues. No one else, not your sponsor in the United States, not your uncle, not the visa dealer on the street. None of those people can qualify you for a visa. So don't give them money. And if someone is asking you for money, if someone is giving you a visa scam, we'd like to hear about that. If you can tell us about that, that's helpful to us. consularbonjul@state.gov is our email address. Consular Bonjul is one word, CONSULARBANJUL @state.gov. State is STATE.gov. Because we do hear about this from time to time, and we do pursue that.
Okay. In that case,
so I think we have one caller. Hello, caller. Hello, good afternoon.
I think we lost the caller.
You can try to call back on the same numbers, 9000966 or 6638966 7886966. Mr. Andy is here to answer all questions. One girl said, what happens if someone has a visa that is still valid in their old passport, but the passport has expired?
It's a good question. You can still use that visa. You don't have to get a new one. Bring your old passport with your new passport, and that's still perfectly valid.
So meaning the girl will just bring the old passport in the visa with the old passport, but the visa is still okay?
Absolutely.
With the new one. So meaning you're just going to transfer the visa to the new passport? Oh.
We don't transfer them, but when you arrive in the United States or whatever country, the customs officer is going to look and say, do you have a valid passport? Yes, that's in the new passport. Do you have a valid visa? Yes, that's in the old passport. That's perfectly fine.
So meaning he needs to go with the two passports?
Exactly.
To the embassy or to travel?
To
travel.
Okay,
yes.
She can go up to her destination or the person's destination, then they will verify those things there.
If the passport expires, that doesn't mean that the visas in the passport expired. The visas are still valid until their expiration date.
Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
We are good. Who are you and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Tadibu, Ibrahima.
Ibrahima, you are with Cheetah Generation Radio Talk Show.
Yeah, you are doing a very wonderful program anyway.
Thank you very much.
My question is that why do we see when they reject people for the visa, they didn't return some of their money, even a quota? Because definitely it's not easy to get money to apply. A poor guy like me, if I apply, I didn't get my money back, I didn't have what I intend. Definitely it's a problem for me to have another money to apply again.
Thank you very much. Mr. Andy will answer the question to you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. As we were saying, the U.S. law requires that we fund consular operations worldwide through visa fees. And so that money goes to fund that, and that's why there is no refund as well.
Okay. Sorry for I just as I was just saying in the first quarter of the show, I saw something. Who is not eligible of visa application? It only say it's only those people who are under the visa waiver program, VWP, something like that. So, what is this program actually?
Okay.
And who is eligible?
All right, good question. The visa waiver program is for certain countries.
Sorry, Mr. Andy, I think we have one caller. Hello, Mr. Caller. Hello.
Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Where are you calling from and what's your name?
Yeah, my name is Bakari. I'm calling from Tallinn.
Bakari, you are with Cheetah Generation Radio Talk on STAR FM.
Yeah, it's a good program. Can I ask Andy a question, please?
Yes, Mr. Andy is listening. You can pose him your questions.
Okay, Andy.
Yes.
My question is because I was at your office in around August.
Okay.
And I was denied a visa due to some financial statement was not improper in your own views.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
My doubt is whether I'm still eligible anytime I've got a proper one, or I need to apply for a waiver. That's my doubt.
Okay, this is a good question. You can anyone is eligible to reapply anytime. Visa, if you're not qualified for a visa, there's no appeal, but you can reapply. However, we caution people that unless there's been a major change in your life circumstance, you're probably not going to qualify for that visa. So if someone comes back the next week and like, well, I didn't qualify last week, but I got married this week. That's a major change in your circumstance, but your overall circumstance still is probably, your financial ties are probably the same.
Yeah.
We generally don't recommend that. It is a lot of money to make the application. And also, one thing the caller said is he said he was refused because of his bank statement. Mm-hmm. If it was a fake bank statement, well, yes, that probably was central to the refusal. But otherwise, I'd go back and say it is holistic. We don't refuse on the basis of one document. It probably wasn't the bank statement. It was the applicant's overall situation. And until your overall situation has changed, another 5-10 years in your job, more family stability, you're generally not going to qualify for the visa.
Okay, as I was just saying, can he protest on
the waiver?
Yeah.
Okay, so visa waiver program is for certain countries that have had a very low overstay rate, and it's a specific agreement with those countries. For example, Germany or the United Kingdom, they are on the visa waiver program. Okay. They don't have to apply for a visa. The Gambia is not on the visa waiver program, unfortunately. So that means Gambians do have to apply for a visa.
That's right. Okay, and what are the primary or something qualifications for visa applications?
Yes, and I want to... This is the part of the show where I have to be strict because I don't, although we are, as we talked about, I think diversity is extremely important. Yeah. Migration is beneficial, but it is difficult to qualify for a visa. The average per capita income in the Gambia is about $2,100. And the average and minimum wage in the United States is going to get you about 5 times that level of income. So this kind of income disparity means that most Gambians are not qualified for a visa. They don't have sufficient financial ties. You got to have sufficient financial ties. We're looking for people with a professional salary who have been in their job 5-10 years, have a solid financial situation at home, a solid bank statement that's steady over time, and I'm not a visa coach. I can't tell you, well, if you do this, this, and this, you'll get the visa. But we are looking for established professionals with we're looking for people with something to make them come back. And if you're making $3,000 a month, which may be a good salary, and you've been in your job 2 years, and you're not married, you probably don't have the financial and social ties necessary.
But what about if you are married?
It can make a difference, or it depends on the case. It depends on,
Andy, one thing you say, you need to have a strong social tie.
Yeah.
If you will count yourself eligible for having a visa.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we understand that strong tie?
Well, let me give you an example. Let's say I'm a 60-year-old woman. I don't have any of my own income. Yeah. I've never worked. Mm-hmm. I don't control my own bank statement. It's been controlled by the men in my family. It's common in a lot of families. My financial ties could be zero. Does this mean I'm automatically not qualified for a visa? No. because we can look at the social ties. This woman may have 7 children living in her house. She may be taking care of her very elderly mother, and it's culturally important for her to be there to take care of her mother. And she may have this social situation, husband, kids, and family here that she needs to come back to. That's a social situation. Those are strong social ties, and she may qualify for the visa on that basis.
So, in short, you need good economic ties or a bigger social tie, and then also a good job.
We're going to look at we're going to look at the situation.
All these things will be analyzed.
Oh, look at it.
I bet you have a difficult time at your office.
Of course, and then you have a limited time to draw the curtain or to finalize things.
It's challenging. Yes.
Yeah. And this other key question says, ask him if they have a number of visas that they target in a calendar year. Do you have a number of visas that you target in a calendar year?
No, we don't.
You don't? There
is no quota. As many people as are qualified will issue that many visas. And I wanted to say, because this is another piece of good news I found in the study that came out last week, between 2006 and 2012, all across sub-Saharan Africa, student visas went up by 27%. In the Gambia, between 2006 and 2012, they went up 51%.
Wow.
So once again, Gambia is almost twice the average of the rest of the continent. We are issuing visas to qualified applicants. We look forward to seeing them, and those numbers do go up. It'll go up and down over time. But we don't have a quota. If you're qualified, we'll issue. If you're not, we don't.
One key question here said, the steps that it takes for students seeking scholarship in American universities and colleges.
Well, that's something I would say I would advise you to go to the American Corner and talk to and look at our information there. We have a strong program for advising in education in the United States, and that's an important point. Is the first step in getting a student visa is to know what it is you want to do and what college you want to go to.
I think it will be very good, at least to share with people, because this guy said, if you want a visa, which kind of document do you go with as a student?
Don't focus on the documents. When I am talking to students, I want the student to say that I looked at these 5 or 6 colleges. I didn't like these ones because the program wasn't for me. I like, someone who's really looked at their situation, has been thinking about it for a couple years, and can show me and describe to me why they are serious about their education. If they go, look at my bank statement, that's much less convincing than if they say, I like this college because of X, Y, and Z.
And then the prospects there, and after the study, do you inquire about those terms? Maybe if I come, what are your prospects after studying this film?
Yeah, we do. Well, we do look at what happens to student. We do studies on this.
Okay.
And for example, we did a recent study, and we found that 3 of 10 student visa applicants weren't showing up for school, and that's sort of an unacceptable level.
That's too much.
It is unacceptable. So we've had to tighten up on that. So there's a balance. As I said, student visas for the Gambia overall still on the uptick. The Gambia doing great in terms of the number of students in the United States, but we also really have had to crack down on folks not showing up for school.
Okay, I know, as Srifo has just said before, you have some short time or so, or limited time to decide on this.
I think we have a caller. Hello, Mr. Caller.
Hello?
Yeah. Radio Talk Show.
I'm Abraham, calling from Ghana town.
Oh, Abraham, thank you. How nice to be on the show. Yes, Mr. Andy's here, waiting for you.
Go ahead.
Please, I really want to know the kind of documents that student is required, that will be required of a student before you get a visa for it. Probably the student might not be working and will not get a bank statement,
Well,
I think that one I can answer for you. If you don't have a bank statement, you're a student, you want to go for student visa, obviously no visa for you.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
If I can make one point today, it would be it's not in the documents. It's going to be in your whole situation. Don't focus on the documents. Go online, and that'll tell you what documents you need, but we're looking at your whole situation.
Okay, and hence you make decisions. You must make mistakes.
Yes.
If I apply, in case I'm an applicant, I apply, and then if in your decision you make a mistake on deciding on my case, and later on you realize this, is there any opportunity you call me back? Or?
It does happen. It's rare, but it does happen. The other day, I had a woman who we interviewed her in English.
Sorry, I think we have one caller. Hello, Mr. Caller.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can we know who you are and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, my name is Joe Bonge. I'm calling from Dipakunda.
Oh, Mr. Bonge, nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, I just want to share a question with Mr. Andy, which many young people have been asking me.
Okay.
You know, with regards to volunteers, youth volunteers.
I think you have to speed up because we are running out of time.
Yes, youth volunteers that are working with organizations. I've witnessed of 3 cases whereby they are fully funded in the U.S. for like forums.
Okay.
But in most cases, when they apply with a supporting document from the organizations, they are turned down. So I want to be educated on this aspect. Why are they rejected? With the visa.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Babakar.
No, you need to answer that one. He said why youth activists have been rejected even though they have the financial support by even international organizations.
It's a common misconception that someone else can qualify you for a visa, that someone else's funds will make you eligible. You have to be eligible. It's not the money that your organization or your family or your sponsor in the United States has. It's up to you. You have to have those financial and social ties.
Good.
That's good. Okay, this one says here, okay, well, my question, if you pay the visa application fee and the service fee again, question,
I think he has cleared. If you pay the fee, that fee is an application fee. There is no refund, so you will not be refunded. If
you need
again,
to pay back. The issue is like whether the service fee you're going to be paying.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, thank you very much. I think.
So
I'm afraid we will not take any call again.
All right, yeah, the mistake. So the other day I had a woman. We interviewed her in English. She did okay in English. I thought she might be issuable, but she couldn't explain her situation. Her trip plan didn't make any sense. She didn't know how much money it cost. So I said no. Now, she had walked almost out of the embassy, and I thought, you know what? I still think that woman was coming back. So I said to my staff, call her. And we caught her at the gate, had her come back in, and then we brought up a translator, interviewed her in Wolof, and now she was able to explain herself well. The things I was worried about, she cleared up, and we issued the visa. It does happen. Good. So, and sometimes it happens right there at the window. Sometimes it happens on reapplication. And we're always examining the numbers. How are we doing? Are people coming back? What do the statistics look like? So we're constantly trying to get it right. That's our job. We make mistakes, and we have to accept that, but we are trying to apply U.S. law, and we try to do that consistently.
What are the biggest concerns you face as an embassy or as a consular?
The biggest concerns? Well, I should say that half of my job is visa, and the other half is American Citizen Services, and looking after their welfare is something.
One said, do you feel happy rejecting people?
No. It can be tough, but we do feel satisfaction.
Yeah, I believe, we'll draw the curtain here. We are out of time. Thank you very much for listening. This is the Cheetah Generation Radio Talk. So be with us next week, the same time, the same frequency. Thank you, Mr. Andy, for honoring this invitation. We hope to have you more on this. So thank you very much. Bye once again.
Thank you.
And blessing.
You want to be educative about youth affairs, current and past? Tune into Star.